Good evening. Call to order the September 21st Planning Board. Tonight we have discussed performance bonds. We got a legal review, changes to section 12.04, and then we have some comments from the town planner. So a short agenda for the evening. I don't have the comments from the town planner. Okay.
You would have to write things down for us to have those.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if in his abstentions that he was... Okay. This is what's come back to us from legal. I don't know if anybody had a chance to read it. I didn't see anything in it that was...
All I say is it's been legalese.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see it changed anything that we wanted, it's just been legalese.
Yep.
So we get to vote on it, and then it goes back to the selectmen. And hopefully they can have a joint meeting with selectmen and planning board, one public meeting,
Public
get it
hearing.
done.
Okay. Is that a motion?
Sure.
Do I have a
Second.
second? Is there any discussion on
I
it?
had discussion.
Okay, Andy?
So I had some things when I had read through it
Okay.
that I picked up on. On D, performance guarantee shall be tendered in the form of faithful performance bond running to the town. That's in section B. If you go down to H, it says shall deposit the same in a segregated account, and they crossed out the name of the town. So who's holding it? It says it here, it's holding to the town, but down below, a segregated account, but it doesn't say who.
Where are you at, Andy? H?
I noticed that too.
Who shall deposit the same in an account?
An account. Whose account?
I don't see where you are. I'm sorry, where are you at?
I'm comparing B,
Yep.
the performance guarantee shall be tendered,
Oh, gee, I'm sorry. Okay.
and then G. And then it says it used to say an account in the town's name, and they crossed out the town's name. So the treasurer shall deposit the same in a segregated account.
Says what that means.
So you'd like to have that in the town name added back onto it
Well,
again?
I'm not sure, it's in the town, what are they intending? It says here it's in the town, now it's segregated account, they're not
Saying
saying
whose account?
whose account, is it in someone else's account at this point? Is it a conflict of,
Okay. I think you got a valid point, though. Anything else?
we still don't have it in an interest-bearing account. But I'm not gonna push on that too hard. I've given up on that,
Sister committee, yep, okay.
I got some other things here, I just gotta find them again, yeah.
Maybe Tom will have an answer for us.
Oh, I know what the other one was. Release of obligation required by performance guarantee. Section
Right.
12.05,
Second
Yep.
page.
second page, yeah. In B, the last line, it says, well, second from last line, it says completed and the as-built plans are submitted in accordance with the approved final plan.
As-built may not be.
Now, as-built typically are not, because you're submitting an as-built plan because something changed on the plan, right? So you can't have an as-built and have a plan submitted in accordance with the final approval. So I'm not sure how that can be
Can,
cleaned
but
up.
it never is.
Huh?
Could, but it never is.
Yeah, and so that really sticks a problem to someone down the road if he makes any change. Is he going back in front of planning board?
So you're gonna take out as-built?
No, I think we want to leave as-built in, because most every road you get is going to be an as-built plan. But it's going to be changed from the original plan, because the engineers will go out there and say, you know, the road is probably a little bit low here, we ought to raise this or do that. It's not uncommon. I don't think there's a subdivision I ever put in where the road got built exactly the way it called for in the plan.
So you're gonna leave out the in accordance with the approved final plan?
Yes.
Okay,
These are just suggestions on my part.
yep.
All right.
Because there's no sense in submitting an as-built if you're gonna submit.
Oh, does it have to go back to legal review if they make you a change?
I think we just forward it to the
Okay.
selectmen. I think it's, I mean, that's their opinion on it, but they didn't even catch, that's not even, they didn't even catch that.
I think that it's real good. the way it's
Tom,
written up.
we had, this was on 1205, page 2. Andy had this point on in B. It talks about submitting as-built in accordance with the final, but as-built won't. Yeah, so that was one thing. And then on page 1, in section G, the town treasurer who shall deposit the same in a segregated account, and then the legal took out in the town name. But if you don't have in the town's name, then whose account does it get deposited into?
Well, I think what Natalie is suggesting there is that it typically is in the developer's name. The town is just the holder.
But it said up
Okay.
here,
But it said in B that it's not running to the town.
yeah,
For the credit,
And B-
running to the town. Yeah, that's basically a default provision, that if there's any default, that it automatically runs, that the first taker is the town. I think that language, I think, is good in B. It probably has to remain. We probably need to check with Natalie on this, but I think, actually, I know that your point is well taken, Andy. Virtually no subdivision ever gets built exactly as it's on the plan, because, you might encounter, if there were no borings, you might hit a piece of ledge, you
Right.
might have to make an adjustment here and there, so that's an excellent suggestion.
so we just said in that, as-built plans are submitted, period. It took out in accordance with the approved final plan.
And I think the reason they probably put that in there, and I don't want to complicate this even more, but plans are submitted in accordance with the approved final plan. I'm sure the reason they put that in there is that you can't come back,
It changed wholly different.
change the whole bloody thing. I mean, that's not what the planning board approved. So I'm not sure, I think they put that in there for that, so I'm not sure if we could just take it out totally, or have legal look it over and suggest some other writing in there that you can do as-built if it's approved by the engineer or something,
Or as built in accordance with the final plan, and then there has to be an independent clause in there, subject to any on-site physical conditions, I'm not giving the exact language, that are discovered, and then it has to come back to the planning board, and you have to sign a revised subdivision plan. Then everything's kosher, everything's in order.
Well, that's-
You see what I mean? If you do make a change,
usually the changes are so minimal.
yeah, I mean, it might be
Like a
a,
radius and a turn and stuff like that.
So I guess what I'm saying, yeah, so I guess what I'm saying is that there'll be some changes to a subdivision road or a subdivision plan that are very minor, that really don't need approval, it's just kind of a common sense change. Like quite frankly, what I'm doing out there right now, I run into ledge out there, so I'm lifting the road like 1.5 feet.
Just so you don't have to blast
Right? And I
down.
want to blast it,
Yeah.
to make it a better road, I'm gonna be higher, I'm gonna be out of the ground more, it's gonna keep a drier road, it makes sense, but I'm still staying in where I'm supposed to be, it's gonna be a foot higher, it doesn't change the
It
drainage.
just changes that.
So I wouldn't want to have to come back to planning board to get that approval. I would like to think that the engineer could just say, yeah, that makes sense. And so I'm gonna have to submit an as-built plan.
It's almost like in the spirit, not in accordance, but you want to say like in the spirit of the final, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah,
it's,
yeah. The spirit is a good word.
well, in the
I'm not
spirit
sure
of
if that
common
cuts it.
sense, the only thing is, let's say a developer from away may
Yeah,
not
common
use
sense,
the
yeah.
same common sense
Yeah.
than a local developer, and may
We
seek,
start trying to use common sense and things like that, Natalie's gonna have a birds.
yeah.
Yeah.
and Natalie will have to come up with a legal definition of common sense.
That's where you draw the line, too.
Yeah, yeah, it's the one,
That's-
that's
I
what I
think
mean.
the
I
dilemma-
think that's why they put that there, because
Where do you draw the
you
line?
can't go out and change the road location and do all kinds of stuff, because that's not what we approved. So I think that's why she put that in there, but it is,
Maybe the word is accordance is wrong, and it's almost like it needs to be, instead of in accord, I don't know what the word goes there though, but something in the final plan, like Tim was just saying, it can't just be a huge major change, it's gotta be, like you said, you raise the road a foot and a half. It doesn't change lot lines or anything else.
What's a minor change to some is not a minor change to others.
Yeah,
So how do
that's-
you-
the
exactly,
challenge.
exactly.
I
Yeah.
think your only safe route, and respectfully, Andy,
Yeah.
whenever a change is made to a final plan, even though it applies common sense and even though it might be minor, it should technically always have to come back to the board. I know it may seem like a nuisance, but you don't see that many. What that does is that keeps everybody on the
Keeps them
same level of common sense and honesty, if
Yeah.
you will. And I
I
don't mean
we've
to
ever
put-
seen one come back, though, you know, I mean, all the
Yeah, so
subdivisions.
then do you have to sign another Mylar?
Yeah, of course, yeah. If you make a revision to a plan and it's a revised plan, the board has to re-sign it, it has to be re-registered.
Yeah.
And given what you said, Andy, some of them are so minor and so insignificant. However, there may come a time in Waterboro's life where a not very scrupulous developer from away would seek to make some modifications to save thousands and tens of thousands of dollars. May not be in the best engineering practices, but if there's that fluidity is allowed, then someone may take advantage of it.
Yeah.
So I think that's why Natalie puts it in accordance with. It probably needs, and we can talk with Natalie about this, you know, what do we do about a
Yeah,
slight
yeah.
modification?
Yep.
And maybe she can come up with some language. If there's a slight modification that's agreeable to the town's engineer, that's your guardian angel, if you will, and the road commissioner. If you have those two people on oversight looking at it and it's a minor change, then I think you should be comfortable with it. And I don't mean to sound overly strict on it, and it's being done all the time. People make site modifications, but they all should be revised plans and re-signed.
But that must be it, we just never talk about it. They just do it.
Yeah, it just kind of gets done, and it's so minor that no one talks about it, it just gets done.
Yep.
And,
'Cause I don't remember
you know,
ever dealing with it
it's
before.
tweaked in this, on the site, and the reason that you never hear about it or see it is you never really see as-built.
Right.
And that's where the discovery would be made, is in the as-built. So, you know, we've been fortunate that, you know, we've had good local developers that have always done it right.
Do the Mylars allow for pen and ink changes, or does it have to be a whole new?
Whole new Mylar.
It's a whole new one. But, you know, Kurt, in today's world, it's a push of a button, boom, engineer plots out another one with the changes. It's not like in the old days when we cartographically had to draw every single line on it, and the rapidograph would not, the ink wouldn't flow out of the rapidograph. So I think it's not a big task for a consultant engineer to do that.
No.
It's minor. It's actually a push of a button.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, we had
I
some
still got
discussion.
one other thing.
Okay, one more?
Sorry. And that has to do with street design and construction standard ordinance.
Okay.
That has a lot of information that I'm not sure, I haven't had time to go through this one, but is there anything in this ordinance that conflicts with this?
It needs to be
Somebody
updated.
needs to look at this to see if there's something, because this here may talk about bonds, and I believe it does. It's like 20 pages of the street design ordinance. I kind of look through this and say to myself, even what we have in the subdivision regulations, some of it is in
Conflict with that.
conflicts with this. I mean,
On
this was
that-
done in 1984. It
On-
probably ought to go to the wayside,
And,
because I think the subdivision ordinance handles it a lot better. I think it was put in here for the roads that are already existing, that aren't going through subdivision. But there's a lot of conflicting information, I believe, in here to the subdivision, and it may even conflict with this document here.
Isn't
So
that
somebody has to review
release
this.
that supersedes our
This,
previous?
this one would not necessarily supersede that, but some of that may conflict with this, and I think
Yeah.
what's going on, and I'm not sure, we'd have to check with road review and the road commissioner. I'm pretty sure that that's on their table for discussion, and that you'd want to work with them and I'd almost suggest that you have road review and road commissioner look at it, make some the red lines, and then ship it to you.
this, the performance bond?
It
No,
is here.
the
It
one-
has a section
the
of
sh-
inspection.
The street standard one
Upon
that
clearing of
Andy's
right of
referring
way.
to.
It says here, upon clearing of right-of-way and preparation of subgrade, and prior to placing any road gravel, the developer shall notify the town that the road subgrade is ready for inspection. 24-hour notice shall be required in inspection. So you go by this ordinance, you go by that ordinance.
Yeah. What's the date on the last
This
page
is
of that?
1984.
1984. So it's about, well, it's old and tired, isn't it? It's time to be looked at again.
Do they expire?
No, they're there.
So as obsolete as they are, they continue on the books?
That was adopted as an ordinance, correct, not as a policy? Andy, is that as a policy or as an ordinance?
This is an ordinance.
Okay, so it's there forever until you change it or abandon it or delete it.
So this goes into road width, traffic per day, all stuff that our ordinance addresses as well. And I wasn't aware of it until just a little while ago.
It might require a good combing, but again, I would suggest, because the road review and road commissioner, I believe, have already started looking at that, so out of courtesy, let them do what they need to do, redline it and send it to the planning board.
My thought was probably if we put something in this ordinance that any conflicting information, this ordinance would take precedent over this
Then
or anything else.
to do that, so there is no conflict, traditionally a severability clause is put at the end of the ordinance, okay? So that this one stands and anything that's in conflict is severed. And again, that should be a Natalie thing, but in the past, they've traditionally have put in severability clauses. And that's, it's simple as a couple of sentences and one more red line from Natalie.
Now, does anyone know for a fact that the road review is looking at that ordinance?
I have no idea.
Not for a fact, I know it was
That,
mentioned.
Could this committee send a note to them, suggesting, or in order to coordinate the ordinances, that needs to be looked at?
Yeah. Now's the time, while it's
Yeah.
slow and quiet,
Right.
straighten the stuff out.
And unfortunately, that's just probably one of many who've got
Yeah,
conflicts like
and it's just,
everywhere you look.
and that's where the town gets into a mess with, this one says this and that one says that, and then it's, what do we do?
Okay. We had a motion, we had a second, we had discussion. The motion was to forward this on to the selectmen. Andy's brought up some good points
So with the modification.
with the modifications. So we had a motion and a second, we gotta vote it unless,
If Frank amends it and she amends the second, then you can vote on the
Okay.
amendment.
Sure,
with the changes.
yes, with the changes.
Do you agree with that, Jude? Okay. All those in favor? Unanimous. All right, so we'll move on to the selectmen. Natalie has some second cut on it based on that. Next thing on our agenda is comments from Tom.
When this, just a second, when this goes from us now to the selectmen and then via Natalie, I assume, is this gonna come back to us again?
It should, I mean, we basically have blessed it and said that we're okay with these
Yeah.
changes to go
No,
out to the selectmen.
And I would feel comfortable based, I brought the things
Yeah.
to attack, let them address it. If they feel it needs addressing, fine. If they don't, that's fine too. But I think the ordinance is well written at this point.
And if they feel it's a public meeting is needed, we can do a joint one, David, easily. And
But the
cheap-
ordinance
more cheap.
doesn't say that we have to do it.
I know.
It just says selectmen have to hold a public hearing.
And have we decided, is someone going to notify?
Yeah, we'll do it, we'll send a memo, we'll have somebody send a memo.
Okay.
And then,
Tina will send a memo?
I do feel if you have a public hearing, it'd be nice if somebody from the board, this board was there too.
I think it's, because, I mean, definitely this, the work has been at our end, so if there's anybody's got a question that sends us back 3 months, we can at least say why we're here, so that makes sense. Anything else? Tom?
Just two things. The first is, again, just a reminder that the capital improvement plan is mandated by the town and the Board of Selectmen to be prepared every year. If there are any capital projects, which mean fiscally anything over $5,000, that's not part of an operating budget, that's a capital investment in the town. If the board collectively feels that there's a project you want to embark on that will cost more than $5,000, I'd like to receive it or talk about it with the planning board and then incorporate it in the final plan, which is delivered to our Board of Selectmen in November. The department heads are currently working on theirs. The Road Review Committee is working on a submittal, I believe, of one road as a project. And traditionally, planning boards, if you see a need for a special project or a special study or a special investigation, then that's built in as a capital project. It's justified, sent to the board, the Finance Committee looks at it, the Board of Selectmen looks at it, and both the Finance Committee and the Selectmen vote on it as to accepting the whole plan, and then secondly, if there are any projects that are of urgency or need to go forward immediately into the next fiscal year.
How did we handle GIS? We went in with a multi-committee recommendation to adopt GIS?
The way we
populate it?
The way we left that is Frank had attended 2020. The board had heard Frank's report of the need to take it to the next step. You know, we've got some software and a contract that allows for us to get updated versions, but there are some missing elements. The application of it, the training and tutorials, getting the whole system up and running. Do we have the capacity to run that stuff? Some big questions still remain out there. And so you had the planning board, the road review committee, and the 2020 committee all on that same page to submit a CIP article. And if the board would like, you know, I'd be happy to work with Frank and David and others and form a draft and have the board look at it. And that's typically how we do the CIP items. I mean, I help certain department heads, you know, gather information. Many times it requires an estimate because we don't want to submit fantasy projects. We want to submit a project. This is what we're going to do. And the selectmen and the finance committee need to know what's it going to cost and explain your justification for why you want to do this. But I'd be happy to work with you, Frank, because you know you have probably the strongest GIS knowledge that I know of in the community. And
in retrospect, having brought that up, I don't think the town is in a technical position or a fire in the belly to do this thing, to spend money. So I think I'd just let it go for another year or two. There's no pressing need for it. We've already spent $15,000 to $18,000 for which we had absolutely nothing.
Well, Frank,
to do it and do it right, it's going to probably cost $30 to $50 just for the part to set it up, and I don't see where there's going to be any push for it. So I'd say I'd put it off for another couple of years.
You know what, I mean, as a builder, going into a town that's got a GIS system makes it 1,000 times easier to do all your permitting and everything else. So, I mean, this is, I mean, I understand where you're coming from on it, Frank, but I mean, this is the time to do it when there's not a huge demand for it and get in, but it's how do you create the suction at the other end to pull it through, you know, it's...
I don't think there's a draw there to do it. I really don't.
I guess, you know, compared to a new fire truck or a pickup truck for the fire chief, we're not going to come out very high.
Or something. I just don't think, you know, if it's, we just turned down a sidewalk grant that was going to cost us, what, $6,000? I mean, we certainly don't have the stomach to spend 30 or 40, so I'd put it off for another couple of years. And you're right, other towns I've worked with are right now in the middle of doing it, but they're spending some serious money to do it. The end result is nice, but I don't think we have the wherewithal to do it right now.
May I, Frank, play devil's advocate just for a second with this? Would there be any harm in going through at least the exercise to see what it would cost and what it would take to bring it? I mean, it's easy to say no to it, but at least we'd be knowledgeable in what it would take to get it online. What Kurt brings up is I think, one of many illustrations. Here's a couple of good ones. hydrant locations, so those coordinates are known, culverts, road systems. We may be receiving a road, part of a road back from the state. We need to really know that knowledge. I mean, its applicability to developers. Let's say, if I may, Kurt, you're from away, you come in and you're investigating and you want to put it on public water. And so you want to know the terminus and the termini of those water lines, the size of those water lines, where they are in relationship to the tract of land you're looking at. So again, at a push of a button, you can find that answer real quickly. The other thing that, which is really, we're all here as planners, the visionary aspect. GIS plays a role in setting a vision for the town. Sooner or later, people are going to need to come to this table and start thinking about where the future water lines are going to go. You're going to need to do that, and part of doing that is really technical. There's a lot of technical pieces that are built into these variables and attributes, and I won't get into all the jargon of it, but it's a technically hard thing to put together, but once it's put together, it's easier to maintain. And so, and I'm not disputing what you're saying, Frank. You know, every year is a tough year to try to sell these things, but I think it may be worth the exercise just to see what it would take to get that system to where we need it so we can use it. And it may be a thumbs down vote by Finance Committee, it may be a thumbs up by the Selectmen.
Well, also, it's a process, and I think we present it may not fly, but it's out there, and people can start thinking about it. You know, I mean, a lot of things are not accepted the first time around.
That's right.
And,
Keep in mind, we've done this twice.
well,
We've spent 15,000 plus already
how long
presenting
ago?
this. The planning department, the planning board did, when did we do it? When did you guys do it? Back in
Couple years ago.
90-something or other? All right? We did it, passed the money, put it in place, got nowhere. It sat there, we threw the computer away, the software finally got updated again. They updated it 2 years ago with a rah-rah attitude. It's gone nowhere. You need a place to be, to put it, B, someone, the training for people to use it is that's, to me, is bogus. What you need is someone to set it up.
Right.
Get all the technical stuff done so the town is in there. After that, it's training is, I don't, it's nothing to it. The technically setting up is a son of a gun.
Frank, would it be advantageous at least to get a figure from a company or two that could set it up? Just so we know, and then after you see the figure, you may say, not a good year to submit this as a CIP item, or let's just bring it to the attention of the selectmen, and like Dave said, it's a process, you know? At least you'll know what it costs to get it set up, because there are other, what do I say to the road review committee? They're all gung-ho and wanting to do it. 2020 finds it's a good planning tool, and it would be a great planning tool for yourselves, too.
The systems are awesome. I mean, you could put cisterns on it, you could put houses that have sprinklers on it,
Put all kinds of
everything.
wonderful stuff on it.
Layer on layer on layer.
Road review just went through a 20-minute argument in this room trying to decide where to store their 4 traffic counters. This is about 3 levels of magnitude more than that. You're going to have to place to put it, the technical expertise to maintain the thing and set it up. We just don't have the stomach for it right now. It's not there. I agree, it's wonderful. And you're right, I'm doing this in other towns, but we're not there. If it's an exercise, we'd like to do it as an exercise, sure. And I'm the one that brought it up.
I'll tell you what, it's up to the board. I'm happy to take the task to just deliver to you what it would cost and who might be able to do it and what they can do for X amount of dollars. And you can look at it, and I think the benefit we have is that we have a board who knows that it has potential use. Every time a subdivision or a site plan comes up, we can pop it right on that screen. We can overlay the lot on top of the aerial. And you can't hide wetlands, drainage systems, or anything on top of the aerials. All that stuff shows up, and it shows surrounding land uses that aren't plotted on a plan, so you can look at the big picture. It has a multitude of uses, and I don't think anyone denies that. I just think that someone has to do the grunt work of finding out what will it cost. And I think now that we've got, Frank on the board, we've got a set of eyes that can say, well, geez, that's just about what I would charge to do it, or that's pretty fair, or that price is off the charts, it could be done for less. I think that's a benefit in itself, Frank, that just to be able to go through that part of the process. And then the board can say, geez, Tom, thanks, good exercise, we got the information, I think we'll put it off a year or two.
I think it's worth it. I mean, I hate to say it, but you spent money, so it's like, I hate to see it just die and think that $18,000 is just walked out the front door. I hate, it's good money after bad probably, but I think we got to look at and get a price and see what it is to get it. What is it going to cost us to, maybe you kill it now. Don't put any more money into it. But we don't know.
And that's the whole thing with CIPs, it used to be called capital improvement projects. Well, I don't like that word improvement anymore. It's an investment or it's not an investment. When you spend money, whether it's personal or for municipal government, you're spending it to invest in something. And if this is a good investment, you pursue it. If it's a stinking investment, then you can it. And that's where we're at, right, Dave? Aren't we? Isn't that how the decisions are made for investments? And they're not just improvements. They're not.
Do they look for a return? Does the town looking for a return on investment?
Well,
Is there a 12-year payback that they're looking for or something like that?
Everyone should have a return on investment. Every project should. And some of them are harder to put your arms around because, for example, the benefit that you get to look at a subdivision on the wall here and see the environs, how do you put a value on that? It's valuable to you, but can I put a dollar figure on it? No. It allows for you to make a better decision. It allows us to, in the middle of winter, when the snow is 3 feet deep, to be able to look at a site with leaves off and see the site. Whereas you're not going to see it in the middle of winter. So I think there's a lot of great benefits, and ultimately, at some point in time, the water district would benefit from it. We'll benefit from it.
Yeah, but do you lease it to the water district? Do you lease them time on it, or?
We gave them the last set of plans, they got it from us.
That's a political question, you got to ask Dave.
That's fine. I mean, the water district is a separate
As far as, I
entity.
mean, I didn't realize that they're part of the town. I mean, it's not a separate, it's separate, but it isn't.
Who, the water district?
Yeah.
Completely separate from the town. Has absolutely nothing to do with us. Physically, financially, nothing. We can't even get them to tell us where they're going from here, which is we've asked for. And that's a problem.
If they fail, is the town liable, or what happens when if they fail for some reason? Who's
There are so
assumes
many
it?
regulations, if a water district fails, I suspect the state would step in. I think we probably should end up taking it over in the next 15, probably year. because
I
it's just
don't
for
know,
planning.
I think there's some legal ties there. But, I can't say,
With the town?
yeah.
I'm sure you got the right lawyer, you could say, tie it right back to the town.
We co-signed basically for the original $100,000, and that's been long paid off to get it going, but that was, no, we don't even have written documentation with the fire department. That was another argument I was screaming about. You're supposed to have stuff. We pay them money for those hydrants. We don't have written agreements between the fire department and the town about who can use hydrants and what. There's nothing in paper. We talked FEMA until we're blue in the face, and yet FEMA stipulates as part of that agreement that there's a whole bunch of written arguments, written discussions, things we should have in writing. We don't have them. And it's hard to get them out of there. I have a problem with that argument. It's not like it's our water district. It's our town, and it's certainly our water and our citizens we're dealing with, but we're dealing with a separate entity.
Well, Board, you really got two issues here. One's relational type of issues,
Yeah.
and another is technical. And so we can't really marry those together tonight. I mean, what we're, on this particular thing, we're talking about the technicalities and the benefits of having GIS. If I might, just to move this along, if the majority of the board wishes to just have me explore what it would cost and what you would receive for X amount of dollars, no harm done there. And then at that point, you could decide, Tom, I think we'll join hands with the other committees and it's submitted as a CIP, or say, no, well, let's just put it to the side for now, as Frank has suggested.
Would that go to town meeting? If we got to the point where, say, it was $30,000,
Sure.
does that have to be approved at town meeting?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. At
That'd
first,
be
it would
pretty
have
tough
to move
sell.
past the Finance Committee and our Board of Selectmen. They would have to
Have their recommendations?
give their recommendations on it. And if one or both, correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, endorsed it as a meaningful, urgent capital project, then it would go probably as a separate article at town meeting, unless it was merged with other capital projects in a singular article. So,
There's no grants or anything like that that would allow us to extend that price over multiple years, right?
well, the sad part, thanks for bringing that up, the sad part is the state GIS office used to have both training grants and grants for municipalities. Now, we can't even get a nickel for training. I had tried that 2 years ago to see if the state would come down, and I got a letter, it's documented, that they have $0. They laid off some staff, and so there's no, in the immediate future, there's no hope from the state GIS system, and there's no federal monies other than maybe some small monies in emergency management through FEMA, but I don't think enough to do what we need it to do.
Now, with this system, Frank, you had spoken about overlaid maps before, sometime, 3 months ago. Is that a part of this system, or is that something separate you were talking about?
All part of GIS.
Okay.
So I understand this is something you would find out what it would cost to do?
Yeah, I could find out, it's not a huge task for me to call at least one vendor that has the capacity to do this. In fact, there's a vendor that's now under contract for some engineering services to work on our energy chapter of the master plan. And I think they have in-house capacity to do that. So, it's just a couple phone calls and getting them to, getting us to spend no money, no money, Dave,
No money.
to get just an estimate or a quotation.
I don't see
And
where that hurts anything. I don't see where that hurts
no,
anything.
I'm
At least we know.
an advocate of trying to learn as much as you can for $0, and then you pick and choose what projects are worthy to pursue.
I am alarmed by what Frank is saying, that we've already got $18,000 into this, and there's no real momentum to get it all the way through.
There's no fire in the belly to do it.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like, we should at least find out what it's gonna cost, and either get it off the table totally, or get a fire in the belly to get it done.
Board's choice. If you want me to task me with it, and I'll do it and get it for you for your second meeting in October.
I think, well, what's the flavor of the board?
Do we need a motion, or just?
No, I don't think.
I say, well, how can you lose if it's not costing anything?
I say go for it.
At least let us know what we're dealing with.
You okay with it, or?
Sure, as long as you're doing it on a multiple committee basis, so we get the road review and planning board, and you can't just do it just for the planning board.
Right.
I think we've already blown our wad on this one. I think we've already spent our 13 grand. I think you need to do it as a multiple thing, to get some people behind it.
What I'm suggesting is he just gets a number for what it's gonna cost to do this. And then we're gonna decide based on that number if we're gonna endorse it or not,
Yep.
I think is what.
Basically, all I'd be doing is having a
RFQ.
vendor or company scope it. Okay, it wouldn't even be formalized, because if I do an RFP, then I've got to advertise and all that kind of stuff. I'm just going to pick up the phone and call a vendor that has the capacity, just to give us an idea of where the ballpark figure is, and scope out what the services might be for X amount of dollars, and then you can take a look at it. And the benefit of having Frank on the board is you can take a look at it, Frank, and you can say, well, that looks pretty good, but you forgot an important element here, and what's it going to cost us to do that? And then we get at we could make it more realistic to do or not to do.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think the flavor is get that number.
And Frank, no, I'm not opposing your conceptual thoughts on it. I hear you loud and clear what you're saying there. It's just, I think it's a worthy exercise to
I think it's an
explore.
exercise.
Well, that's why I chose my word very carefully and called it an exercise.
I mean, how's the restructuring coming in the town hall? I
It's-
rest my case. Well, 2 years, I mean, this is.
I don't know, it's not in my bailiwick. I don't want anyone to think it's my responsibility.
Just for the record.
We get other things to
Just for
worry
the
about.
record.
It's not my responsibility.
Okay. No minutes to review.
No, do you have something else that?
Let's see. The other thing is, just a reminder, there is that municipal seminar that's sponsored by our legal counsel. It's a pro bono thing. It's one of the few pro bono things that we get in life now. And also, there's a reasonably good meal that comes along with it. So,
I think the 16th was the cutoff for that.
I believe it was, but there's,
Openings, I think.
They're flexible.
the planning board has some liberty and influence with the
That's the 29th,
29th.
yeah,
It's in South Portland at the Wyndham,
Wyndham.
Yeah, Wyndham Portland Airport Hotel.
and
5:30 dinner, no, social hour.
We're supposed to respond by the 16th.
But I think there's some openings.
you heard it from
I
our
know-
select.
I know there's one, because I'm not going, and I said I was, but I can't now.
It's good chow, Dave.
I know, can't be in two places at once.
Fireworks and medical marijuana, you can't go wrong.
It's a little bit of a misnomer on the social hour part of it. It's just fruit punch. It's, it's nothing really too dynamic on that end. What's this fireworks thing? I missed that.
State-approved fireworks, so they can have retail sale of fireworks in
But
the
each
state.
town can tailor their own ordinance.
Portland goes last night to,
Yeah.
Yes. yeah.
Portland did?
Yeah.
It makes sense, it's burned to the ground a couple times.
So SoPo will be the place we go for that, then, huh?
Just don't drive through Portland. That's all.
And Met centers are back, methadone centers are back in Rogue. I think Sanford is in the midst of approving one.
All right. Anything else the board has? I'll hear a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second? Second, Andy. Any discussion? All those in favor? That concludes tonight's meeting. Thank you.